So let's just jump in then, guys. All right, cool. Let's do this. So those of you watching, you are in for a treat. Hopefully you've met Markus and Logan before from Streettext. They are two of the most knowledgeable, if not the most knowledgeable people in terms of Facebook ads, digital marketing that I have met in this industry. Oh no, I'm serious, man. You guys are awesome. Markus is coming to you live from his converted podcast dungeon trailer.
I'm on the air.
He's on the air. So we're talking about for this webinar, iOS 14. That is the operating system that runs on an iPhone. And even if you don't have an iPhone, the reason why you want to watch this is because your potential clients have iPhones. Guaranteed, at least one of them does, if not a lot more. And there's some changes happening. So let's just start at the top. I don't know, Markus or Logan, who wants to start, but what is happening with iOS 14 that we need to know about?
Well, Logan, I'll defer to you and then I'll expand.
Yeah, I'll give it the quick little Reader's Digest breakdown. And the interesting thing that I see when it comes to iOS alone is Android. Obviously Android has its own system altogether. It's definitely different, of course, but typically when it comes to privacy issues like this, my anticipation is Android's going to follow soon. So first off, to understand, iOS 14 is going to be an opt-in in terms of privacy, whereas it used to be the opposite. In other words, whenever you logged into Facebook from any mobile device, you were in a sense opting in automatically. You're allowing Facebook to track and use the conversion pixels and everything that you've done, from that same device that's currently being tracked and monitored feeds into the algorithm. So Facebook knows, okay, people like this, who like this ad, are likely going to have similarities to other people who like this ad. So these are the kinds of audience we should continue showing the ad to. So that information has been crucial and essentially one of the, I'll call it the lifeblood of social media, of Facebook, in the ability to deliver appropriate ads to appropriate individuals. Now, before the conversion pixel really took off and was firing at its way that it's been now, traffic ads were really more the consistent template. And what those do, they don't take into consideration the algorithm. They really just throw the ad out there everywhere and hope for the best and doesn't learn. And unfortunately, unless you're able to get things set back up under this conversion umbrella again, you're kind of going to go back to that. Just, leads coming in from everywhere, not necessarily qualified by people who've seen the right ad, if that makes any sense. So one thing that we're trying to do here at Streettext is allow for that all to continue happening. Allow for us to feed back the information from the click back into Facebook so that they can keep learning using the algorithm and keep improving upon their ad delivery. That's, again, it's incredibly important. What we're looking at here is as soon as this button gets, or the switch gets flipped, so to speak, we're anticipating millions of ads going down all at once. We've been given a date. Whether or not they're coming public with that date or not, I'm not entirely sure, but it's coming. It's within the next couple months. And again, people who aren't prepared for this, our anticipation is ads are going to go belly up and people will then be scrambling going, why aren't my ads working? How do I fix it? Then they have to build the solution. They have to have Facebook approve said solution, and then they have to get back on track. So my thoughts, again, there's going to be a very interesting period of time here where a lot of people who don't have the appropriate mechanisms in place, there's not going to be as many ads out there. So the people who do have the appropriate solution in place, using companies, again, like ours or others that can create this solution, it's kind of like the Wild West all over again. There's going to be a pretty unique opportunity presenting itself. So again, the biggest change is that when you go to the iOS 14 update, when you go to sign back into Facebook, you're going to get a big pop-up that says, do you wish to share all of your personal information with Facebook? Yes or no. The anticipation is the majority of the individuals are going to say no, meaning that Facebook's ads that rely on that information not going to be as effective anymore. So again, you do need a mechanism in place to facilitate that. Markus, you want to elaborate on that?
I do want Markus to chime in. Can I ask you one quick question though on that? And then Markus, also, when you say ads are going down, do you mean literally like they'll stop working as well, or they will stop, like they just won't be shown, period? How will agents know if it's
what we anticipate happening is literally ads being paused by Facebook, and then you being sent a notification, very similar to how when the special housing ad category took off in August of 2019, people who were running ads that weren't built under the special housing ad category were given a very short amount of grace period, right? The change was happened in August, and then I believe it was a month and a half later, anybody who hadn't rebuilt their ads under the special housing ad category, including the 15-mile radius and all that, their ads were immediately paused, and they were given notifications, you need to fix this issue. And for people who didn't fix the issue, they end up having their ad accounts banned, right? So now you're fighting with Facebook to remove all those old ads, show that you've done that, and then you can be allowed to advertise again. And we heard countless people, Streettext clients and otherwise, telling us, I mean, I've had my entire ad account banned and I'm not even sure why. We look into it and sure enough, they didn't fix their ads like Facebook was sending the messages telling them to.
Interesting. Go ahead, Markus.
No, I mean, I was just going to expand on that. I was going to also say, hey, Logan, let's pretend I'm just a Facebook dummy, okay? Because I think a lot of people are like, what's a traffic ad? What's a page post ad? What's a lead ad? What's a conversion? What are you talking? This is all way over my head. So let's break this down into like, how does this apply to me? And what type of ads would I be considering being worried about? And you know, because some people, and I mean, it may not even be running Facebook ads or wanting to run Facebook ads, or maybe they have a company running it for them and they have no idea how they're running those ads. So where does that come and apply to me if I'm just some realtor, you know, whether I'm marketing my own listing or looking for buyer leads or seller leads?
You know, again, from our system alone, I would say that 90% of all ads we've had people creating are using the conversion tracking pixel. And that's something that I would suggest most companies who know what they're doing, they've switched to that method years ago already. So my thoughts are that the majority of good ads that are currently running or have been running well for a while are using that objective. And that's the objective type that's going to be removed. So again, what that truly means and how it translates in real time, we're all going to be kind of learning as we go. But we do know what's coming. And again, it's important to retrofit your ads, so to speak, and get things working the right way. If you want a quick breakdown as to what the two different types of ads are, conversion, of course, again, is anytime somebody's clicked on an ad, that information is parsed, so to speak. They say, okay, this individual or all the people who've clicked on this ad so far, what did they share in common? Similar sports team preferences, music preferences, Google clicks, search history, all the things that Facebook can track from your device is stored into that. And again, it's beneficial for, say, somebody like myself. I'm looking for a new vehicle right now. I don't want a Toyota Tercel, and I certainly don't want a Lamborghini. So seeing an ad for either of those two ends of the spectrum, they're not beneficial to me. So Facebook knows, based on my current search history, I'm looking for, you know, a GMC Denali. That's what I want. And thankfully, I see those ads, and every time there's a sale or a deal somewhere to be had, I can see that. And so it's beneficial to me and the end user on that end, right? And it's beneficial to the individual running the ad to be able to constantly be finding the right people. Because again, if I'm trying to sell a GMC Denali and I'm looking at somebody who wants to buy a Lambo, why am I'm serving the ad to the wrong person? So that's the benefit of using the conversion pixels. And again, so long as you retrofit and get these things set back up in the appropriate way, that style can still work. It's gonna still be fine, but there's some changes that need to be made on the mechanism level. Now, the traffic ad, essentially what it does is it removes Facebook's algorithm. And it basically says, you know, we're just going to show this to every single person, which what that means is you're going to get more clicks. You typically reach more people in a day because the algorithm isn't saying, let's only serve it to this small audience. They're saying, hey, there's 250,000 people who live in this 15-mile radius. Let's start blasting everybody. So you get a lot of clicks, but you get considerably less conversion, which is, again, why the conversion pixel is the way to go.
Markus, if you were a new agent, would that have made sense to you? You like that?
Yeah, I like that. And I was just pulling up something I think that might be helpful.
Cool.
But let me see if I can find it because my computer is all hectic.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the key on this is just to realize that, like, we've got your back. And I think the important piece is with Streettext, we've always been known for seller leads, and seller leads are our bread and butter. And so anybody that's looking for seller leads, like, leads that are going to list with them, this is going to be important to you, because a lead ad is primarily a Facebook lead capture. A lead ad is where you ask for all the information up front and just go for it, like propose the marriage, like give me all your information. And there's reasons for it, and works really well for buyer style campaigns if you're looking for buyers, or even marketing your own listings. But for sellers, we're famous for something called this dynamic lead capture funnel. And so what it does is it captures information in micro commitment steps. And that in itself is what makes Streettext so unique, because when you look at a click to contact ratio, the conversion pixel that Logan is talking about becomes extremely important, because you're looking at numbers that in some cases go anywhere from, on average, we'll see 50% to some cases 90% of every one of our clicks become a submission. And that's unheard of. For anybody that does their own marketing and advertising on Facebook, if you're in the realms of like 5% or up to 10%, you're really good, right? And then we just put that on steroids. So we have this way that can ensure that if you get a low cost per click profile based on your ad spend, you're absolutely going to get leads. And in that case, Facebook is really a top of funnel solution that really helps you meet more people than you could ever imagined within a 15-mile radius. Again, if you're new to Facebook, you're dealing with the Housing Discriminatory Act, and that affects you in Canada, it affects you in the US. 25 kilometers is what it's called in, Canadian metrics. So, so that being said, it's important to realize that we've already adjusted for that. And for anybody that has a conversion, you should go look to see what kind of marketing and advertising your company is doing for you, or if you're doing it yourself, and make sure that if it's going to shut down, you're ready to pivot. And then with that, how do you pivot? Well, we already got that solution, and it's going to actually serve you and actually enhance your process, because instead of having, a brand like Streettext in the landing page, or multiple landing pages, and or on the ad itself, Jesse, if you were selling, it'd be like jessehomevalues.com with your brand there, with your own personalized capture. So it's actually going to just enhance your process already and reinforce the brand and the connection.
And on that, just real quick, if I can, what I want to say, and I know I'm guilty of this too, is sometimes we mention things that's perhaps somebody brand new to Facebook, brand new to real estate, go, exactly, what's that? What's going on? And the biggest piece of information I like to impart here is simply what Markus said, is we got your back. And if you're seeing this video, you're in the right place. Being part of LCA, first and foremost, this is where you kind of get, hey, there's something going on that I didn't know was happening. There's something I'm going to need a solution for. Even if you don't really understand what all that is, now you have an idea that there is something impending that's going to impact your ads, regardless of where you built them before. So being part of groups like LCA, again, incredibly valuable. You've at least now got an idea that there's something happening. Then again, as that translates to Streettext, there's a company that knows that there's something happening, and we have the ability to help you through it. So again, you come in, and what Mark is talking about is registering your own private domain. We're going to then need to adjust the DNS. We're going to need to do a lot of these little mechanism changes behind the scenes. Again, even myself being relatively techie, I don't fully understand every single little bit of it, but that's fine. We pay much smarter people in-house here to understand exactly what's happening. And yeah,
I'm the king of delegation. If I don't know an answer, I'm handing it over, and I default to Logan most of the time. No, I'm just joking.
And that's the thing is, though, we get to send it to I get sent things that I'm not fully grasping either. And it's like, why is this happening? How can we fix this? We send it to our dev team, who this is what they do 24/7. They get to figure out, okay, there is an impending change. How do we fix this for all of our users quickly and immediately?
That was my question for you guys, was how hard was it to come up with a solution? And do you think that your solution is actually going to have Streettext perform better than before this update rolls out?
The anticipation is that regardless of, we feel that our ads are going to continue and not miss a beat. And I don't think they necessarily need to get better than they currently are. I feel we're very satisfied.
Well, they're pretty darn good. I'm just curious, as every time you change something, right?
I think they're actually going to be better, because for a moment, everybody's ads around the world drop. And with that, we're already prepared. And so as we go to auction against other ads who have already dropped, it just gives us a better, further reach for the spend.
And that way, if you look at it this way, look at market share and look at, you can think of like your foot in the sand at a beach, Okay, you take your foot out, you've left a footprint. That's your market, that's your market share, so to speak. Now what happens is, as soon as somebody's foot's in the sand and they start dragging their toes out, well, suddenly there's market share availability and people can kind of dig their toes in there and sort of kind of get a base. The more that foot's removed from the sand, the more available market share there is. So if you come in and plant your foot in somebody else's spot, they're going to come try to put their foot back. And if you're not letting them, you've kind of taken over a good portion of that market share. So what we're anticipating, exactly like Markus is saying, is even if our ads don't do better than they currently are normally, they will perform better because there's going to be less competition.
Right. Well, that's what I was hearing. That's why I was curious. And I know Tessa just dropped in the box here. If you don't already use Streettext, these guys do have a free 7-day trial, which is incredible. You should check it out. You can play with the platform. But sounds like the right time to like either tune up your marketing or start something like this as these changes are about to roll out. Right?
Yeah, 100%. We're ready for you. I'll give you a quick presentation of something, obviously I think people are visual, like to see a few things. So what we're known for is this type of ad. Let me do a screen share. Okay, I'm gonna present this for you so it's bigger. Okay, so what we're known for is like a typical map ad image. It's going to say, something along the lines of, if someone were to buy your home, would you sell it, find its value in the current market? Now we throw some emojis. We can make it a satellite image or a map image or even terrain. And with that being said, the ratios are so high because the congruency between the ad image into the landing pages, and it doesn't feel like the salesy, markety, like real estate typical ad with a home on it. That's why I think it works so well. This has been around for about 5 years, and we've never lost a stride. And you can kind of see we've been at it for a long time and produced a lot of leads. So take off your marketing hat, trust Streettext, especially in this realms of we've experimented. We're a preferred Facebook marketing partner. So when something's going to change, like an iOS update is going to change the game, we're getting firsthand knowledge on what to do to make that change be beneficial because we would lose a lot of people if that happened and we weren't aware of it. So we talked to Facebook ad managers from the actual Facebook headquarters, and we make that change with their advice. That being said, we want to make sure you're working smarter, not harder. And this is a key of what makes Streettext so successful, is that we have something that's unique called the split test. And the split test is the most important takeaway that I've ever seen in how you find a strong performing ad on Facebook, especially given the 15-mile minimum radius. Because when you look at these conversion pixels and they're finding like people, if you're like people or those clicks are not favorable for you, it's going to go find more like people. Versus if your like people are favorable and you find more like people, all of a sudden you have this amazing click to contact ratio happening because it's finding more of the same. So the more audiences you could test within the first 24 to 48 hours, the better opportunity you're going to have to find that ideal ad performance. And so we have this built in, with one click that can launch anywhere from 3 to 5 ads and deploy them in that 24-hour period. And you're basically going to let them kind of duke it out for the best ad performance and the best audience. And all those leads that are coming in, because every one of those ads should produce leads, but all of them coming in are going to have the ad ID from which it came from. And the ad ID is going to be revealing to you, because it's going to tell you, obviously, the homes that you want in the neighborhoods you want with the most information. So that's a key takeaway, is a split test. And we'll elaborate a little bit more for anybody that starts trial with Streettext, to try it yourself, see, put your ad spend where your mouth is type of thing and see what happens. Do you have a question, Jesse?
No, I love it. And I love the happy people faces on there that show, right? I mean, but split testing sounds like one of these things that's complicated if you don't know what you're doing, but it's such a powerful tool that you guys let people do, right? Would you, and let's see Logan nodding his head.
The big one for me is, it's so simple. It's actually not difficult at all. And it's such a simple thing to do. But again, even people who've heard of us other places and whatnot, I get told at least 2 or 3 times a week, Logan, you're the expert here. I'm going to do what you say, but I think you're crazy. Like, I don't think this is going to work. Why? If I build 3 identical ads that look the same, sound the same, are targeting the same individuals for the most part in the same 15-mile radius, how and why would they perform differently? And we talk about the same thing, on most of our LCA, events. So anybody who's heard us, talk about this ad nauseum, forgive me for it, but it is that one item that it's just so darned important. And, it's to build a Facebook ad that works, there is some secret sauce. You need to have the right style of imagery for the area. You have to have the appropriate ad copy. It can't be too long. There's so many things that goes into it. But once you've identified a particular template that works, it doesn't mean that that exact ad is going to work perfectly every single time, because it's not just the ad that matters. It's the test audience. And that's the thing that a lot of people kind of omit or forget to realize, is that every single time you launch an ad on Facebook, Facebook needs to test the ad and determine two things. First, how much money they want to continue charging you, and who to keep showing this ad to. So what they're going to do is, as soon as you launch the ad, Facebook's going to show it to the first 500 people in the area. As soon as it's reached 500 people, Facebook then says, okay, what is the ratio between these three categories? Good, negative, neutral. For people who took no action, just scrolled past it, they were still reached. They were an impression. You came across their screen. You're not paying for that, but they calculate as a neutral on your ad performance. The ones who took negative action, they commented something nasty, they put an angry face, they marked it as spam, that's obviously bad. We want to avoid those people. The ones who took positive action, clicked, liked, shared, commented, great. Facebook then compares the ratios and says, okay, we have a good ratio of positive activity on this ad among the first 500. Now we can establish relevancy. Relevancy is a 1 to 10. The higher the relevancy, the more clicks Facebook feels they're going to get on a daily basis, the lower your cost per click amount. If you've got a $9 daily ad limit and Facebook doesn't think you're going to get a lot of clicks in a day, they're going to charge you, say, $4.50 a click. They anticipate 2 clicks a day. They want to maximize their money. They don't want to leave money on the table. Facebook's great, but I mean, let's face it, they're here to make money too. This is how they make their money. So, as soon as Facebook's established relevancy, yes, they set a cost per click. Now you start seeing the leads coming in at a cost-effective rate. Wonderful, but exactly like Markus is saying, that doesn't again mean that they're quality leads, because there's going to be a variance in terms of what you're looking for. Address-only submissions, particular area, there's so many things that feed into this. So after 24 hours, though, both of those things have been established. Not only can I see my stat lines, I know how much I'm paying per click, per lead, per email, I can also see where those leads are coming from and what kind of quality I feel that they are. And if after 24 hours, I'm not seeing what I want, I pause that ad, right? So instead of doing one ad, waiting 24 hours, hoping you hit, and then not and having to do it again, build 3, let them compete against each other, because even though the ads are the same, who they first target will always be unique. The way those individuals react to the ads will always be unique. Thus, the way that they perform, they're going to be unique, right? So, and you don't need to test for weeks at a time. One day of testing, your ad is set. You know what it's going to do. Lock it in or turn it off. Simple.
Is it budget dependent for the test too? Or do you have to spend a certain amount for each thing? Would you say for a marketing budget?
I would say roughly it's usually $10 of ad spend, or 500 people reached. If you're in central Arkansas, or if you're in an area where there's less population, it's going to take more time to reach the same amount of people. Sometimes it takes more or less money, but I would say a pretty, I'm sure Markus would agree, pretty general rule of thumb, $10 of ad spend or 24 hours. Typically, you've reached 500 people within one of those two.
Yeah. I mean, it fluctuates from some areas, like in Los Angeles or some of the higher end markets. I'll up to like $12, but it's not big of a deal. And you just do that long enough. Like there's a gal, Tiffany, that is part of Tristan's team that we did a split test for, and in LA. And I used one of the funnels, and all 3 crushed it. And so she literally let all 3 run at $9 each a day, so up to 27. If you could combine all 3. For a couple weeks, because she was getting such great lead flow and she couldn't decide which one she liked the most. And, she was taking appointments and so forth. So it's one of those things where you could literally wake up and have 3 great ads, or you can wake up and have 3 duds. So you pause them and you set up another split, or maybe we do a slight variable, which is called an A/B test, right? When you A/B something, you just change something small. It could be emoji. It could be a slight change in image. It could be even a slight change in text. So there's, this is why you rely on marketers and not try to do it yourself.
I love it. And I love that the biggest problem that she had was like all 3 ads worked and had too many leads. Like, cool, let's just let them run.
I'll share an example. This was a gentleman I literally was just talking to, moments ago before we got on this call. This is a split test he'd set up recently. He let them go for longer than I would have liked to see. But as you can see, $1.69 per click, not a bad cost per click. That shows me it's fairly relevant. However, of 10 clicks, only 3 people left lead information. So at $16, he's averaging $5.64 per lead. Not good enough. The fact that he had all 3 of those people leave emails and phone numbers, great. I like that. But still, these numbers are just not quite there. We look down a little further. This one's even worse. It ran the exact same ad at the exact same time. It's less relevant, thus a higher cost per click, spent more money and got fewer leads. He's averaging, if he keeps this ad running, he's going to spend $17 on average for every 1 address he gets. Way too much. Again, I go up with the one we decided to keep. It's run at the exact same time, the exact same area, the exact same image. In fact, when I launched this for him, we built 3 on the initial ad builder. They're perfectly identical. This one, however, just happened to hit an audience that found it more relevant. $1.50 per click, same amount spent, 7 leads. So he's averaging 1 address per every 257, and he's getting 4 emails so far for $17, less than $5, $4.50 an email in, Tacoma, which is, a decent median. You're talking $500,000 median, give or take. And had we run 1 ad, if we had run this ad here, him and I would be talking right now and him saying, yeah, Streettext isn't for me. Facebook leads don't work, right? These ads suck because we didn't test it properly. But thankfully we did test it. We found an ad that works, and this gentleman just signed up for a year.
So were there different calls to action, different copy, or are they literally identical?
Literally identical. When we launch 1 ad, we have the ability to say, launch this ad how many times? 1 to 5. So we went in, I built 1 ad and I replicated it 3 times perfectly. The system built 3 mirror images of each other, and they performed radically different from one another.
So interesting. And do you think with the iOS 14 changes, will anything change? Or will you have the same ability? How's that going to affect it?
So again, if you are going and reverting to what Facebook's going to allow you to do manually yourself without the appropriate mechanism in place, my anticipation is you're going back to traffic ads. You're going back to, let's just hope for the best, but Facebook's not able to learn from itself. Whereas again, we're able to say, okay, John Smith clicked on this ad. Our system, so Facebook says John Smith clicked on an ad, great, but they don't know if that click became a lead. They don't know anything about it. Whereas our system then says, hey, John Smith became a lead. We can then send third-party data back to Facebook to close the loop. So Facebook now sees, oh, not only did John Smith click, he did put that lead information. His profile type is appropriate to keep serving this ad to these individuals. But if you don't have the ability to feed back that information.
So, and are you doing that with retargeting pixels based on different pages they hit on your site? I mean, is that, not to get too technical, but where I'm going with this is, if you are a realtor watching this and you're hiring a marketing company, it's going to have to make you more and more cautious about who you hire and what they know, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's not done on retargeting. That's not quite how it's working. Retargeting, again, is a subject that we have begun taking on multiple times in our existence, and every single time we're ready to release something that's revolutionary, Facebook completely and wholesalely changes the way that they're operating. So retargeting ads right now, or we put a pin in them, I guess I would say, but we will be launching something surrounding that and moving.
I want to expand on retargeting for a second, just because I think it's a really fun sales technique for people. But I'm like, well, why are you retargeting if you never developed a relationship with that person in the first place? Like, where does your brand awareness? So retargeting, I think, is really clever when you have someone, like you create a relationship with them, you've created know, like, and trust. It makes complete sense. Outside of that, I think it's just really fun, but you end up spending a lot of money. I think that your concern should be on creating influence and relationship on the pipeline you're already building, right? So that's that. I wanted to show you something though really quickly, because I love to show this example, because this is actually Tiffany who I was telling you about, and I love to show it because for anybody that says, well, my market's high end, it wouldn't work over here, and I go, okay, well, let me give you an example of an area that has an average $800,000 home, up to $1 million. And so here's the 3 ads we ran, and the ad itself is just this like, you know, what's your home really worth? Enter your address, receive your home value, right? 10 comments, shares, and a bunch of likes. I'm getting to show people that you should always look at comments and likes and reach out to those people and personally message them, because there's a lot of appointments that can be set that way. But that ad, if you look at all 3 of them, it's a satellite image. It doesn't look that appealing to the eyes. It's showing the ocean and all that stuff, right? There's Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, you know, all the nice markets. They click into that and start entering their information, click to contact, just like that, usually on a smartphone. But if you look at this profile, $167 spent there, $167 spent there, $167. And she was running a $9 a day budget on this one. So she left them running because if you see, like, she couldn't quite decide. 102 leads there, 96 leads there, 103 leads, 36, 29, 29, all very similar. So then what she starts doing from there is she starts reviewing all her contacts based on the source ad ID. And then what you start looking at is, okay, where are these coming from? There's a Pasadena phone number, right? Like, she's going to look up that home. She's going to go, okay, so where is this lead? What's this house like? What's this price point? What quality is this? You know, and so that's a lot of this stuff you start learning and digging into to reveal. It's not always the lowest cost per lead. It's not always the lowest cost per lead. And, you know, sometimes when the algorithm's shifting and changing and you're like, ooh, I like this neighborhood that I'm getting more homes in, you're going to pick that ad, even if you're spending $1 or $2 more per lead versus, you know, downtown LA or outskirts, maybe in Compton. You don't want the Compton one.
And it sounds like you guys are pretty hands-on to help educate Streettext clients in terms of how to pick their lead, like, because this is something that, I mean, it sounds like it needs some expertise to help tune these things in. How hands-on are you guys?
Well, I mean, for us, we do our best to help everybody in every way that we can. One of the biggest things that we've shifted a little bit more into lately is really good group training, where yes, we help people one-on-one, of course, but you're going to gain so much more benefit and value when you're hearing not only from Markus, not only from me, but from 100 other agents who have either just started with Streettext, just started with Facebook, or have been around for, you know, since our company's inception, you know, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago now. So you get some of the, I call them the OGs, right? You get the people who've been with us forever, and they've gone through the growing pains. They've struggled at times. They've crushed it at times. So now they're the people who I'm most interested in learning from, because if I'm trying to develop a new system, I'm hearing all these things people are doing, but I might say, you know what, but I really still want to do this. But to hear from somebody who's done that year after year after year and not seen the success until they've made a shift into maybe adding video, you know, not just firing off CMAs blindly, whatever it might be, whatever you're currently doing, we recommend to everybody, come in, keep doing what you're doing. Don't just come in and wholesale change everything necessarily. Come in, keep doing what you're doing, but really pay attention to the group, figure out what everybody else is doing and improve 1% every single day. Get a little better at what you're doing every single day. And again, I don't care if you're brand new or you've been around forever. The way we look at it is every single person that joins Streettext, and I'm sure it's the same for LCA, you have something that you have to learn. There's things that you need to learn, but there's also things you can teach other people. Again, you can be an 18-year-old just getting into real estate with zero experience on this side of the fence. There's definitely something that individual can pass on to somebody else, whether it's mentality or process or something. So again, you know, building a collaborative community. And again, for Streettext, it's partnering with LabCoatAgents and people like this who have that same mentality of, I want to get better every day. Yeah. That's a big part of what Streettext does.
Speaking of which, and before we run out of time, if you guys watching do have questions, please type it in the comments box. There's a Q&A box if you're live with us on Zoom. Make sure we get a chance to answer any questions that you have, because you're right, Logan. The community you guys have built inside your Streettext group is a pretty strong community where there's a lot of wealth of knowledge and experience. And that's what I was curious about, because it's not just, it's you guys kind of leading and curating, but there's so much other value that I've seen that the people who are using the Streettext platform share with each other. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like today we talked about like perception, right? You can come in and wearing your sunglasses, and you know you're seeing these leads the wrong way because you're so used to working with Zillow or the bottom of funnel solution, but then you don't understand that the top of funnel is all about relationship. It's all about contribution. It's all about giving back. It's all about planting the seed. It's a relationship focused lead solution. And so many people are not used to having to like put themselves out there and connect personally because they're so used to getting leads like already ready to go. These people are just randomly scrolling down their Facebook newsfeed today. You know, they see this ad that says, what's your home really worth? They enter their information, you know, maybe they get to the form part where they submit their email. They probably in that moment, 99.9% of the time think they're getting an automated home value. And that includes you running buyer ads and whatever you want. So the key there really is on creating and narrating the experience you want them to have the moment they get into their inbox. And that is really built for the realtor that loves virtual connections, you know, loves the idea of perhaps putting themselves out there on Facebook and reaching out to them with a PM, you know, and just being, you know, in a place of contribution. Hey, there's no obligation. This is my way of giving back. And, you know, looking to actually create a conversation, not just hand over a CMA, which anybody can do.
It fully makes sense, guys. We've got a few more minutes here. Oh, I thought I had a question that someone's saying where they're from. Cool. So I've got more questions. If no one else has questions, I always have questions.
Yeah.
In terms of when you are really learning this and you're just kind of getting started, do you need to worry about the iOS changes, or is it more just focus on the basics, get it started, and just trust that the others are going to kind of guide you to do your thing?
Yeah, so two sides of that. First off, there's going to always, the one consistent on Facebook is that it's consistently changing. So there's always going to be a looming iOS update or something. That's, you know, not to be gloom and doom, that's just the way it is. So again, you know, regardless of what the impending changes are, know that there's somebody that understands it better, that is working on a solution, that when that solution is necessary, so long as you're part of the system, part of the platform, you're going to be one of the first people to know about it. And we're going to not only just say, hey, there's a problem. Oh my goodness. Like everybody has to solve the problem. It's typically, we identified a problem. Here's what the problem is. Here are the steps that we can help you with to help you fix that issue. But then beyond that, regardless of any impending changes, it can be something as easy as follow-up. You know, oftentimes people are pretty convinced in their follow-up and they just need to match that with leads. Great, we can help you with that. But sometimes, or quite often, there is more personality that's needed in your follow-up. So a lot of times what I'll recommend to my clients is, hey, tell you what, let's pause your ads. Let's not start there. Get into the follow-up, get into the emails, embed video, fix the text message automations, get your back-end follow-up structure perfected. Then when you're happy with that, now let's start the 7-day trial. Now we'll start ads. And again, even if you're in there for 3 or 4 days, getting everything ready to go, we can reset your trial as soon as you're ready to launch ads. When you're ready to test ads and you're comfortable with everything else, let's hit the go button. And that's when we'd start the 7-day trial, right? So there's all sorts of different things. My recommendation, come try it out. Come to one of our first demos, meet your coach, go through the platform. You get a free trial. It's free in that we don't charge you anything. You're responsible for your own ad spend, of course. We're not going to cover that part for you. But you get to spend your ad dollars, which you'd be spending elsewhere anyways, but hopefully in a more convenient and, you know, better solution.
Yeah, don't reinvent the wheel. You know, go and study those people that have done really well with this type of lead generation solution, like those people that are averaging a deal or more a month. Those are the people you want to figure out, okay, well, what's the process? You know, I put a post in our group the other day. I said, hey, how long have you been with us? How many deals have you done? You know, do you attend our weekly masterminds? And you're going to start seeing that there's this natural rhythm of success versus not. And we dive in deep to the mindset. We dive in deep to the integrations, to your process, to your follow-up, because that's going to be the key. All the leads are going to come the same to you, but some people see someone, you know, some of these leads as trash, the others see them as treasure. It's up to you.
I'll say from my own experience, you know, any of my clients who, you know, struggled a little early on, most of them were hesitant or weren't able to make those group trainings. You know, I don't have time. I can't, you know, I don't see value in group meetings or whatever it might be. Suddenly we start seeing them on those meetings, and all of a sudden their numbers are increasing, and, you know, you don't hear anything negative from them any longer, because again, you come in and maybe there's a bunch of stuff you need to change. Maybe it was one subtle change you needed to make. It could be as easy as one subtle adjustment, and you don't know what other options you should be taking unless you're hearing from other people saying, here's what I changed, here's what I was doing, here's what I changed, and here's my new results. Somebody can then say, hey, I was doing that exact same thing and I've been struggling. Maybe I should make that change. come to those meetings, be parts of LabCoatAgents, come into our community, never stop learning, and always be delivering value. That's the idea.
I love it. And when you say never stop learning, obviously the people on this webinar, people watching, they get that. They're plugging in. So that is the recipe for success, is to continue to plug in. I know you guys do daily demos. I just saw that Tessa dropped in the chat box there, the link if someone wants to book a demo. In the last couple of minutes we've got here, do you have any other tips, advice? I mean, that was really good wisdom you just had, Logan, but anything else you want to make sure that people know about today?
I think we covered it.
You covered it? All right. So I got one last question for you then. You ready?
Yes.
This is an easy one. And we only have a couple minutes, so we can't go deep, but obviously, there's some big companies, the big Z's make changes, and these other companies are changing. We talked about top of the funnel versus bottom of the funnel, targeting the type of leads you're looking for. And for the last couple of years, I keep hearing over and over again, you really should start going higher in the funnel, go higher in the funnel. Do you think that's going to is there ever going to be a time when people are going to say, no, you can start targeting the bottom of the funnel again? Or is it only go in that direction? What's your crystal ball say?
If you are a top 1% earner and you brought in $7 million profit last year and money is no factor and you don't care, you're already scaled to the top level, pay for bottom of the funnel stuff, pay $30, $50, $100 a lead and pass them on to your team and convert them. There's nothing wrong with that. But for the 99% of the rest of us, where marketing budget is important, monitoring your budget is ridiculously important. The ability to scale is important. You need to be able to, meet your input and output based on where you currently are. And if you're not a 1% earner at this time, competing for those, the bottom of the funnel leads, it's a quick way to go out of business, right? You need to then convert 100% of them. Whereas here, if you convert 3%, you're within the industry average, no problem. 6%, you're crushing it. Right?
And I think that's what Streettext does so well. That's why I wanted to ask that. I'm just curious, right? It really is what your guys, the platform does so well. I love it.
Scalability. That's what it is. Helping people grow, take you where you are now and allow people to grow at their own pace, continue to learn, maybe drop a few more dollars here and there, maybe scale back your budget depending on where you are. We can help you with all that.
I love it. And Markus, before we wrap up, will you put your sunglasses on one more time? The webinar got so much cooler when he put his sunglasses on. Did you guys notice that? Like, look at that. I love it. I love it. Guys, Markus, Logan, thank you for being here. This is awesome. Truly. If you guys have questions for these guys, they'll be tagged in the post. Feel free to ask them questions. It'll be up on YouTube so subscribe to the LabCoatAgents YouTube channel. There's a link to that in the box. And thanks guys. Truly appreciate your time.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye guys.